I miss this. The memes are running rampant, the highlight plays are coming in, teams are getting upset left and right. Overwatch League really is in full swing. We're already a quarter of the way through the regular season, can you believe that? 7 games in and we've already seen teams exceed our expectations. We've also seen several teams heavily underperform, but we're not talking about them today. Today, we're talking about the 8 teams who are sitting at the top as of right now, the 8 teams who will fight it out for a large cash prize and the title of Stage 1 champion. How are each of these teams looking as we go into the playoffs? In alphabetical order, here are your combatants. Hope you're not tired of goats.
Victory!
Atlanta is going into the playoffs in a bit of a skid, having lost 2 of their last 3 games in Stage 1, and honestly, I'm finding it difficult to come up with any words to describe this team as of right now other than meh? Now, they're one of the most likable teams in the league, I'll give them that. Seeing personalities like Defiant and Dogman on stage is always super fun to watch, but as far as their gameplay, I find it difficult to place them as any more than a mid-tier GOATS team. I even struggle to come up with a single player who I would say is a top 5 player in their position. Sure, DeFran's gravel in Hollywood was flashy and fun, but was it really necessary? I don't think so. And I'm not sure if he stands up to the Zaryas of most of the top teams. Masa maybe, but he has a lot of competition in the pool of great Lucios. Anyways, there's 2 things that I really want to touch on with the Reign. Firstly, who is your flex support player? I find it nice that you're experimenting with both Dogman and Kodak, but frankly neither of them have been fantastic for this team so far. Granted, I haven't really seen how Kodak's Ana is, but these guys should have about the same hero pool. It's getting pretty obvious now that the best teams have a designated starting 6 and they stick with it and try and build up the synergy as high as possible. I want to see this team choose their flex support player and focus on doing that while the season is still early. Secondly, I think this team's success depends a lot on how well they can support Pokpo. Pokpo is one of the more aggressive Reins in this league, and it is either won them fights or punished them hard. Take this clip in the ending moments of Rialto versus the Outlaws. Pokpo gets EMP'd, booped, stunned, shattered, and grabbed. The Outlaws wanted him dead, and they even threw in a Transcendence to make sure that happened. The only reason he didn't die was because he got insane support from his team. Dogman nanoed him just before the fight and pumped him full of healing constantly, as well as Masa swapping over to his healing aura. You also see DeFran use his bubble on him, you see Urster and Dako go collapse on him just trying to body block at least, and then Dogman lays a huge anti-nade and Pokpo gets 3 kills and the game is over. This is the kind of play that can give the Reign a deep run in the playoffs. If they can support Pokpo enough, they just might be able to shine.
Victory!
What an up and down stage for the Uprising. They got off to a surprisingly quick start, then had a downswing in the middle where Fusions wasn't cleared to play, and they ended up on the wrong side of the history books, and now they've scraped into the playoffs by the skin of their teeth after a clutch reverse sweep of the Fuel. If there's one thing that I've learned from this team over Stage 1, is that they will live and die by Fusions. They have committed to him, he is their main tank, and while I feel kinda bad for Axiom, their performances with him speak for themselves. While Fusions may not always pop off on the stats page, whenever production shows his player cam, it becomes obvious why he's so important. This dude is always talking, and that is a good thing for the Uprising. Fusions is the in-game leader that the Uprising desperately needed, and now that they've rallied around him, the rest of the team has a chance to shine. One of the biggest examples of this is AimGod, who has somehow continued to fly under the radar in terms of truly great flex supports. I think this dude is at least top 5, maybe even top 3, and that's just crazy considering how many incredible flex supports there are in this league. Now, there are a few pieces on this team that are a little shaky, like Color Hex and Kelix. The Uprising are the 8th seed in this playoff, and they even have yet to prove that they can consistently win against the Sombra Goats comp, but I promise you, the Uprising will punish you for underestimating them.
Victory!
Well, this has been fun, hasn't it? An off-season has passed, and the NYXL are back to destroying most of their competition again, just like old times. Honestly, it was probably bad for the rest of the league that the NYXL ended up losing in the season playoffs. You can tell that the loss stings, and they want more than anything to prove their dominance once again. So far, they're doing just that. The Excelsior are really good at playing this defensive, reactionary style of GOATs, looking for just the right moment to strike and then exposing the weaknesses of their roster. Honestly, it's really tough to point out a weakness on this team for the GOATs meta. Nene was the Zarya ace that this team needed, and his flexibility cannot be underestimated. He's an early candidate for Rookie of the Year. Mono and Meko form one of the best tank lines in the league, Animo and Libero have been great, and Jonak, do I even have to ask? This team is just as much of a powerhouse now as they were for the entirety of the last regular season, and after completing their first perfect stage, it's looking like it'll take a monstrous effort to take them down. However, I'm sure the wound from their failure in the season playoffs still stings. Will they falter in their first playoff afterwards?
Victory!
It seems like the Fusion have gone a little under the radar this stage, huh? I mean, for a team that is currently tied for third place in the standings, it sure is weird that people aren't talking about them as the potential overthrowers of the top two. I was confused about this as well, until I took a look at their schedule. As of right now, the Fusion have enjoyed by far the easiest schedule of any team. They've played all of the bottom 4 teams and even lost to one of them. Listen, Fusion fans, elk or not, you should have beaten the Mayhem and you know it. This is not the play of a team that will be able to take down NYXL or the Titans. Sado either feeds or doesn't get enough support from his team or both. Carpe will sometimes try and carry the team and get punished for it. Neptuno seems to have lost that bloodthirsty edge that he had on Mercy. The Fusion, to be frank, don't look like a top 4 team. However, if there's one thing I've learned about the Fusion from last season, it's that if you put them in a playoff situation, they really can come in clutch. They were the unanimous third wheel in the Stage 2 playoffs, but they upset the Spitfire and pushed NYXL to the brink. They barely made the season playoffs, but guess who was playing at Burbank in the grand finals? It wasn't the NYXL. Actually, now that I think about it, the Fusion have pulled off multiple clutch playoff runs, but they have yet to actually win. Just pointing it out. Regardless, there is no reason for you to be sleeping on the Fusion, no matter what you saw during the stage. Playoffs Fusion is a different beast altogether.
Victory!
Despite coming into this playoff as the 6th or the 7th seed at the time of recording, this tiebreaker match hasn't been played yet, the Shock have impressed a lot of people to start off the season. To be honest, if any team is going to take down the 2 undefeated teams, the Shock are going to be the ones to do it, and here's why. Firstly, matchup experience. The Shock have played both the NYXL and the Titans during Stage 1, and don't let the scorelines fool you, these were both very close games which could have gone either way if a few fights had gone in San Francisco's favor. They have one of the best flex support rookies in this league in Violet, Sinatra, who seems to never dip below 65% in Zarya energy, which allows him to pour in damage. Both Architect and Rascal have been very good in the Brigitte role, and the flexibility of both is just incredible. Super has looked better and better as time has gone on, Moth is a great Lucio, Choi Hyobin's a great Diva. There's just one thing that sticks out about the Shock. They have trouble finishing off their prey. As Monte pointed out in the tweet a little while ago, the Shock win 8% fewer teamfights in overtime than normal. Now, of course, the statistic may be skewed because of the tough opponents that the Shock had, but this is the playoff, and the Shock will be going up against strong teams. I don't know if there's a breakdown in communication in these situations, or just bad luck, or what, but if they want to take the Stage 1 title home, they need to figure out how to close these rounds against strong teams out in their favor.
Victory!
They finally did it. After being the favorites in Season 1 to their eventual collapse to the nearly complete rebuild, the Seoul Dynasty have made their first playoff in franchise history. What a story for these guys. For the Dynasty, Stage 1 has been defined by the inconsistencies and the struggle to play up to the level that we know that they can achieve. They surprised us early in the stage when off-tank Zumba was benched in favor of former Lucky Future Zenith off-tank Michelle. However, Michelle has done quite good on the Diva, and his ability to flex on the Sombra, which is a comp that the Dynasty like more than most other teams, has proven to be very valuable. Not to mention that Fisher has simply carried this team through fights sometimes, and Fleta is as great as ever. The other 3 members of the team cause some concerns though. Ryu Jae-hong, as much of a legend as he is, has not been able to regain that status as he had in the Apex days. On Zen, he has been average at best. Munchkin is an inconsistent player who has on and off days. He is an asset to his team on good days, but basically dead weight when he's off his game. Finally, Jexay, as talented as he is, have not taken the Overwatch League by storm like some think. There are some rumors that he's clashing with Fissure and Comms, but I can't know for sure. On the other hand, the Dynasty are coming off of a clutch comeback that knocked the reigning champion Spitfire from the playoffs. They are on a high, and you cannot underestimate a team with as much talent as this Dynasty with momentum on their side. Of course, if they lose to tiebreaker with Shock, they'll have to try and take the NYXL in the first round, and it's hard to find a team with more momentum than them. I'm just trying to be positive, okay?
Victory!
The Defiant are yet another team who are coming into the stage playoffs hot, winning 3 in a row and 4 of their last 5. The Defiant are definitely a dark horse team to take this whole thing, even if they've already lost to the NYXL this stage. They have a top 5 Zenyatta and Neko, a great Zarya and Ivy, a fragger of a D.Va and Envy. I like Roki's hair. Something I pointed out in my last 7-second summary that I want to hit on again is that the Defiant are one of the best teams in the league when it comes to consistently pulling out these grav bomb combos. Of course, this wouldn't be possible without Ivy and Envy doing their jobs well, but Yakpong is one of the best Reinhardts in the league when it comes to taking the enemy Rein out of the picture, either with a shatter or a well-timed pin. Keep an eye out for those combos when you watch the Defiant play. One of the biggest knocks against the Defiant right now is their lack of a real branding identity. Like, a lot of the expansion teams come in with a market in mind. The Spark had their anime, the Eternal had Europe, the Rain had the Fran fans. But all the Defiant had was some edgy colors and a not super imaginative logo. But what if the Defiant won Stage 1? How's that for a brand?
Victory!
Well, this is a bit of a surprise, isn't it? Now, I thought Runaway would be good in Overwatch League, but not first overall in the league, which includes an undefeated NYXL good. The synergy that this team brought with them to Overwatch League is obviously paid off, as the Titans are able to play this really aggressive, chaotic style of GOATs anchored by Bumper's aggressive, chaotic style of play. And it works. It just works. This is due to the insane amounts of support that the Titans are constantly giving Bumper, and Bumper knowing where he can and can't overextend. But let's not remove credit from his teammates. Twilight is yet another strong candidate for the best rookie flex support, and Slime's positioning is incredible. I feel like I never see him dying first, his positioning is just so great. John has had some highlight reel plays on the D.Va as well, pulling off some clutch D.Va bombs, and Haxel's Brigitte has been solid and consistent. I feel like if a team wants to beat the Titans, they have to do it through the hit scan slot. Seominsu is a fantastic Zarya. However, the Titans have been shown to struggle a bit when he is forced off of it onto the Sombra or the McCree. Meanwhile, Stitch's Zarya has frankly left a lot to be desired on the Overwatch League stage. It's a risky play given how good the rest of the team are regardless, but I think if the team wants to take the Titans out, they have to force the Titans out of their comfort zone and play their game. A key part of doing that is not letting Seominsu shred you on the Zarya. However, the Titans are number 1 for a reason, because more often than not, they force you to play their game, and they crush you at it. The Vancouver Titans are a force to be reckoned with, and any team that's forced to play against them in the bracket better come prepared. When it comes to predicting the Stage 1 champions, there's a lot of things to consider. You have to think really hard about it, go through all the scenarios that you can think of, relay the matchups, and of course I'm kidding, I didn't have to think very hard about this at all, I choose the NYXL. Look, at this point in the season, I have yet to see a team as complete, as flexible, and as clutch as the NYXL are. What makes them so scary as a team is their ability to switch up their style on you on the fly, which constantly leaves teams guessing. People say Titans and NYXL would be a great finals match, but I think the NYXL will figure out how to punish Bumper for his aggressive play. The only thing really against them is that they choked last year, but they haven't choked in the stage playoffs since Stage 1. Huh. Well, I'm sticking with it. And that'll do it. Hopefully after this video you have a better understanding of where the teams stand heading into the first stage playoff of 2019. Who do you think is taking on the title of Stage 1 champion? Let me know in the comments. As always, if you like this video and want to see more, leave a like and subscribe. I make Overwatch League content every week, and I would really appreciate it if you took just a little bit of time out of your week to watch it. Until next time though, that's all from me. Don't get tilted.